Hi, welcome back. I want to begin this devotion with a question. Um, do you feel, as a modern person living in America today, that your whole identity is bound up in what you do? Do you feel like your worth is connected to how much you produce or what you accomplish? Um, I think we all feel that way to some degree. Even if we don't realize it, it's there under the surface. We're driven people. We're people who we feel as though if we're not producing something, if we're not achieving something, if we're not accomplishing something, then somehow we're not valuable. And I think that's one of the reasons why times like this can cause a tremendous amount of anxiety. I know of situations where people say that they're having anxiety simply because they can't do what they used to do. They can't be busy, and that's very common. It's common for pastors, but I think it's common for a lot of people. And so, do you feel that way? Well, this world is very geared toward making us feel that way. It's something that is like the air we breathe. That we're always talking about what we do. In fact, when you meet somebody, what's one of the first things you say? Well, what do you do? And so this whole idea of doing and doing and doing is good. Working is good. It's a gift of God. It was given to us before the curse, and so before the fall. And so work itself is okay. It's good. It's a gift of God. But we can turn any good thing into an idol, and it can come back on us. And I think that this is worth considering. So I want to make another attempt at something very practical to help us apply what Jesus is saying for us to do to avoid anxiety and fear and worry. And that is, set your heart on something completely different. Set your heart on the kingdom. And so Jesus says, seek the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added unto you. You can trust God to take care of the rest. And I want to give you another practical way of seeking the kingdom of God, putting that first. And here it is. It's something that's very much lost in our world today, but it's the idea of one day in 7 of resting, of saying, I'm going to listen to God and assume that he knows better than I do, and I'm going to rest one day in 7. I'm not going to work. Now, it's strange that we even have to be commanded to do this. I mean, but you think about it in America today, we have to have someone tell us, stop. But even more than that, we have to, as Christians, know that we have permission and we have God's blessing when we listen to him and we say, I'm going to stop and rest. Now, why is this important? Well, here's why it's important. When God created Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 1, something very interesting happens. He creates them in his image, male and female. He blesses them. He tells them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. But before they do one thing in response to what he tells them to do, before they go to work and do what he calls them to do, it says that God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And so it's like God looked at his children, Adam and Eve, that he had made, and before they go to work, before they accomplish anything, before they achieve anything, he wants them to know that they are very good, that he's pleased with them. That's a pronouncement on them, that it doesn't depend, their worth doesn't depend on how hard they work. It doesn't depend on what they achieve. Just by being made in God's image and being God's children, they have worth and they have dignity. And I think that's very important today. And it's no surprise then that Jesus, the text here immediately turns to God taking a Sabbath. He takes a day off. He rests. And that's a pattern that he creates for us. And so in this world of busyness, in this world of the crazy productivity and the feelings of guilt if we're not working all the time, I just want you to stop and consider the gift that God gives you of being able to take a day and put it all aside and just sit at God's feet and remember that you have value and dignity and worth, even if you're not accomplishing anything, that you are not primarily a worker, an employee, whatever you do, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. You are primarily a child of God, and you're created for relationship, not just productivity. And so let that sink in, and we'll continue to talk about ways that we can implement this idea of seeking the kingdom of God. Thanks for watching.